Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Office of the Patriot, where we try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left and Rhino right. My name is Myron Ybarra, and with me today is the often passionate and never boring Angry Mike in his best tiki garb. How's it hanging, brother?
Well, I'm trying to remain sane.
As are we all, but it's good to have my co-host back.
It's good to be back.
Well, we're here today to dissect the shit show Trump-Harris debate that occurred this last Tuesday, September 10th. Watching this debate really pissed me off because I knew going in that ABC was going to be, well, biased against Trump. But I didn't realize the extent that they would go to ensure Harris didn't come off looking like her, usual word salad self. Her demeanor and responses were unlike any she had before this debate. Basically, if you're bald-headed on Monday, you can't have hair down to your ass on Wednesday and convince people that it's actually your hair. So it's not a stretch to believe that Harris colluded with ABC to ensure that Trump didn't win. From the loaded questions, the end-of-statement fact checks for Trump, to the uncanny ability for Harris to recall statistics to bolster her responses, almost like she was getting real-time coaching, this debate appeared to be nothing more than a state media op for the Harris campaign. And if I've learned anything in all of my years on this earth, I know that if it looks like shit and smells like shit, it's likely shit. And in this episode of Office of the Patriot, we're going to give an enema to what produced this shit show. It's been said that the handshake is the precursor to how each person is going to behave during the debate.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
So when Harris walked across the stage, damn near getting to Trump's podium to extend her hand, I'll admit, at first it surprised me. And then I had a gut feeling that the fix was in. And if I'm honest, I think it took Donald Trump by surprise as well. Because he is someone who likes to take command of his environment. And we've seen it numerous times when he enters a room. He normally strides in and goes up to greet whoever's there with a firm handshake, using his body language as a mechanism of control. Take a look at this handshake video he gives to Putin. He makes him his bitch. Like an alpha dog marking its territory, I guess she's actually kind of lucky he didn't pee on her leg. Maybe it was because Harris is a female and he was being politely deferential to her. I don't know why he didn't do it this time, but I don't think it was a good look. Mike, why do you think that Trump didn't walk to her podium to extend his hand and take control of the room like he usually does?
Well, I think it was. I think she was clearly rehearsed really well, and as you said, her intention was likely to catch him off guard and probably try to get into his head because she feels like it's necessary to puff out her chest and act like she's presidential material. But in my opinion, it was the first glimpse of her rehearsed authenticity for the rest of the debate. She's basically a fucking fraud.
Absolutely. The goal is to catch her being a fraud or being fraudulent so she doesn't get into office. So let's get into the first question about the economy. You can see Comrade Kamala avoid directly answering the question. Instead, she starts giving us a personal history lesson, starting with a page out of the Martin Luther King speech, I Have a Dream. But in her case, she's got a plan to lift up the working people of America with an opportunity economy, whatever the hell that is, because she never really specified how she plans on getting this opportunity economy going. Sure, she did talk about that $6,000 tax cut that she copied from Donald Trump and just added $1,000 to that for new families. She also mentioned a first-time homebuyers loan program as well as a small business loan program, but no information on how these programs will be paid for. Many of these programs, like the tax cut and the home loan program, are basically cut and pasted from Trump's Agenda 47 plan. And that's his economic plan, not to be confused with Project 2025, which is not his economic plan. Comrade Kamala went on to disparage Trump with a lie claiming that Trump was going to impose what she called a Trump sales tax of 20% and that the Project 2025 is his plan for America. What she was referring to was a tax cut that she alleged millionaires would get under Trump would be borne by the middle class. Trump corrected her on both of these issues when he spoke, but the leftist moderators failed to correct her lie. This was the theme of the rest of the debate. Comrade Kamala could lie with no repercussions, yet Trump would be called to the carpet by the moderators throughout the debate and have to defend attacks against, or from her rather, and the moderators as well.
In my opinion, the entire debate could be summarized as just another kind of like a sham indictment of Trump's character, really. In addition to, her being over-rehearsed and fake, it was clear to me that the moderators were also rehearsed to quickly slam Trump every time they could get at every opportunity. And I think they probably had, extensive notes how to respond to him on every subject, which is fine. It's probably what most moderators do, but they were clearly one-sided, and they didn't do the same thing to his opponent, Kamala. So I think he actually did quite well, considering he only had to, he had to not only go after Kamala for all of her failures, her flip-flops, and her terrible policy ideas, or at least, the few that she had come up with that weren't plagiarized from Trump. But, he also had to start off each of his responses with, basically refuting all of the BS accusations from not only, Kamala, but from the moderators. It was a friggin' clown show.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't want people to think that Trump didn't have a couple of classic moments of his own. I mean, this guy has been in more than a few debates, and he has them. So he's versed in giving it back to Comrade Kamala. And it was actually pretty simple for him because she has so many failures in her administration that it was probably difficult for him to just pick one. That said, Trump jumped into her past by alluding to the fact that she doesn't know what she's going to do as president because, quote, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan. And it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan. And policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
And that's the truth. As a matter of fact, if we were to have gone just a little bit further, she actually copied part of Trump's plan, which I spoke to a little bit earlier. In the same vein, Harris alluded to the fact that Trump's tariffs will raise prices for consumers. And to a certain degree, I agree with this. However, bearing in mind Trump's persona, he is likely using tariffs as a mechanism to force other countries who have tariffs on American imports to rethink their decision. If we hit them with import tariffs, I think they're going to be more than willing to come back to the table to renegotiate. It is a risky move, but it worked in Trump's first term. So there's no reason to believe that it won't work again. And as a matter of fact, Trump asked Comrade Kamala that if she was so against tariffs, why didn't she remove the tariffs that he imposed on China back in 2016? And of course, she couldn't come up with an answer, likely because the earpiece that was giving her the answer probably lost signal at that time.
Yeah. Dude, the bottom line, for most of us is the shitty economy and the massive inflation that's the worst in our nation's history. Definitely it's the worst in our lifetimes that we can recall and that our parents had to go through. Between her and Biden, they fucked up this economy really badly. And now she says she has a plan to fix it. So basically she lit the house on fire and now she wants to play firefighter to put it out and be the hero. But it's like she's taking us for morons. But then again, most of the people she's speaking directly to are Democrats and they're stupid fucks who really only care about doing things that make them feel good. They always want to feel good because they're fucking retards. But I'll give you an example. So I'm not currently working since I took a semi-voluntary leave, layoff package back in early 2021. So I'm pretty much stuck living in California, or as I say it, California, because I can't qualify for another home loan unless I sell my current house and then hope I have enough cash or near enough cash to pay for my next home that will hopefully be out of state. So essentially that is the only reason why I'm staying in California, because I have a really low interest rate and I have a house I like. But the cost of living here sucks. It's really bad. And although the house value has increased a great deal, it's gone up at about 35-40% since I bought it. Unless I can find a decent paying job in another state, where I can do a transition and buy a house there, I'll be forced to become a renter again if I decide to leave California now. So it's not a good situation. And I have a lot more examples, but we just don't have time to go through them all on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, your situation isn't unique. Americans throughout the United States are really suffering under this administration. And if Comrade Kamala manages to steal her way to the presidency, like you said, we're basically fucked. Now, throughout the entire debate, Harris had some very open-ended jabs, nothing that really stuck out. I mean, she went after the typical low-hanging fruit, like Trump's convictions, which were pretty much we all knew that she was going to do. But Trump's attacks were significantly more targeted. During one portion of the debate, Trump was attacking Harris on her record of backing BLM rioters in Minnesota when she attempted to interrupt. And classic Trump used a tactic that she used during her VP debate with Mike Pence, even going as far as asking her if it sounded familiar.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Personally, I think she's too stupid to get the reference, and it's pretty telling that she doesn't like it when her own words are used against her. Then they move to foreign policy, where he kicks her ass all over the place again. I'll give her a modicum of credit. She does her best to defend her record by going on the offensive, making idiotic claims that Trump admires dictators and wants to be a dictator on day one as well. And this was crazy, as well as claiming that Trump endorsed Russia invading Ukraine, and even going as far as saying Trump exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. Okay, let's look at these claims. You have Comrade Kamala, who is a verified Marxist socialist, who is alleging that her presidential opponent, who is a conservative Republican, is liked more by other Marxist socialists than she is. Again, I didn't believe that she can't get any stupider prior to making this statement, but this statement proved that I was wrong. The whole goal of a Marxist socialist communist ideal is world government. I'm sure if she gained power, that would be the first thing she would advocate for. I don't know too many conservative Republicans that would sign on to that. Hold on. Sorry, scratch that. There are some, but we've already identified them as rhinos. And she has a tweet on X bragging that over 200 conservative rhinos are backing her instead of Trump. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, that was, I don't think anybody bought that, but anyway. So in my opinion, you know, I think everybody was thinking, so if Trump wanted to be a dictator, you know, first off, he couldn't, because the three branches of government would prevent it, but he would also be impeached and thrown out of office if he started acting like a dictator. Secondly, if he wanted to be a dictator, and if he didn't want to give up power when he was, you know, unseated in 2020, then he would have tried it back then, right? It's like if he wanted to be a dictator, that was his chance to be a dictator. But he's not that stupid. And that's not what he wants to do. So it's just so stupid to even talk about. So I think we should talk about, you know, Kamala's, radical Marxist past, to get into that. So I would instruct everybody to go to a website that exposes her as a complete fraud. It doesn't cover everything, but it covers a lot of her early stuff. It's called radicalharrisrecord.com. So we'll put that in the notes. So there you'll find, you know, a plethora of damning information. Most people don't even know about. I didn't know about a lot of it. I knew one or two of the key pieces of information about her, but it's pretty enlightening. So that it was basically during her tenure as DA for San Francisco. But you know, I think we only really need to look back in, you know, 4 or 5 years to see, you know, up until very recently, what she's been, you know, saying. She's totally full of shit. She's trying to flip-flop now. So she claims she's pro-fracking now, but she's been saying she's been 100% against fracking. I think she's been caught on video saying it 7 or 8 times over the past couple of years. Then she says, you know, back then she was saying she's for gun confiscation, the forced gun buyback programs, and banning assault weapons, whatever the hell that means, whatever they determine a scary gun looks like. And now she's saying she fully endorses the Second Amendment, and her and Tampon Timmy are both gun owners. Like that even matters, right? It's like, so you got a gun, so what? You know, she probably doesn't even know how to shoot. So she also claims to want to prevent illegal immigration, but since day one, both her and Biden have been, you know, given the green light to other countries to just come on through our open borders. But it's even worse than that. I mean, we all know, you know, that they've been flying illegal immigrants throughout the country by the hundreds of thousands. We saw just recently, I think it was Springfield, Ohio, there's a 20,000 influx of 20,000 Haitian migrants that were put there. I'm not even going to go into that shit show, but that's just one instance. That's just one town in one, basically a fairly small city, and they're increased by nearly 30% just in that one, you know, increase of the Haitian migrants. So they've been doing, you know, giving them free transportation, housing, phones, food, medical care, loading EBD cards with thousands of dollars per person. They're probably paying them monthly stipends. And then just recently, she's been quietly pushing for legislation to, you know, make it legal for these people, anybody that wants to cross our borders illegally, our international borders, to legalize that. It's absolutely insane. And again, there's countless examples of her lies, her incompetence, her flip-flopping, and we just don't have the time. I mean, I hate to say this, but we just can't cover all this. We could be talking for hours and hours and hours. So I'll just end it with this. The moderators didn't do jack shit to fact check her
Agreed.
at all.
And early on, I made the allegation that ABC moderators were fact-checking Donald Trump after many of the debate responses, but were allowing Comrade Kamala to spew whatever falsehoods she chose, as long as they were able to be found somewhere on the internet. So I went through the debate and assembled a collage of each of the instances for your viewing pleasure.
I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm. Lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
no
Republican.
Judge looked at it.
And said
they
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread
standing.
fraud.
That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing.
As you can see, again, Donald Trump was debating not only Harris, but the ABC moderators as well. For whatever reason, these idiots cannot help themselves. The TDS has a stranglehold on them. They will inject whatever lie they can into the public sphere in hopes that it'll take root with some of the leftist lemmings that were tuned in. But the lying wasn't just limited to what they were saying. It was how Donald Trump and Comrade Kamala were presented by ABC. The split screen format that allowed ABC to increase the stature of Comrade Kamala to match that of Donald Trump. And again, if you're just looking at superficial cues to base your decision on who won and who lost, it took away the natural advantage that Trump had. As a whole, I'm of the mind that this debate really didn't move the needle too much for people who have already made up their mind. They have already made their decision. And if you recall, I spoke to this a few episodes back, where I said that the media is twisting the truth and sometimes remaking it to influence the people who have not made a decision. If these people are looking at this debate without substance, then I'm being completely honest here, Harris will likely sway them her way. If these people looked at this debate and went back through to validate the claims that each candidate made during the debate, then honestly, there's no contest. Trump wins handily. Allegedly, there's another debate that's going to be scheduled sometime in October, but again, time will tell. However, on this next debate, if it does happen, I would make sure whatever format they choose and whoever hosts it, that one politician chooses one moderator and the other the same. And maybe we'll get lucky and get someone like Tucker Carlson or Hannity as one of the moderators on the debate. Hell, I'd actually be really happy with Harris Faulkner. While I'm thinking about it, do me a favor. Let me know who you would like to see moderating the next debate between Comrade Kamala and Donald Trump, and put that down in the comment section below. And this concludes today's episode of Office of the Patriot.
If you enjoyed the presentation, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our channel on your social media. It's really appreciated.
What he said. Also, please take the time to comment. Viewer engagement via comments is a major metric for channel accessibility on most social media.